There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here. President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges.
All right, video 2. Now let's address the moderators. This video is brought to you by Super Beats. I'll say my #1 new favorite product. As you see, this is my package. I didn't rip that thing open. I'm going to say this right off the bat. We all know that Super Beats is really good to promote good heart health, blood pressure, circulation, all of those things. But I can tell you this is absolutely delicious. I like these things so much that literally I left my bag here on the weekend. I came up to the office on the weekend so I can have my 2 chews. They're good. They're convenient. All you got to do is open a package, rip it open, and eat it. Just make sure you don't eat the paper like I did earlier today. Super Beats paired with a healthy lifestyle. The antioxidants in Super Beats are clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. So you guys need to give Super Beats a try. Heart health is very important to me, especially because I have a very, very stressful job and I do this stuff all day. I travel a lot. I'm working out. I'm young and I want to live a long time because my family need me. So I'm going to use products that I trust that's going to help my heart be good for a long period of time. Double your potential with Super Beats Heart Chews. Get a 30-day supply of Super Beats Heart Chews on all bundles and 15% off your first order by going to getsuperbeats.com and use code Tatum. That's getsuperbeets.com. Use code Tatum and enjoy heart health today. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bells and get notifications anytime I go live. Y'all already know the dude. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all know I had to go after the moderators because the last video I did, I fact-checked and brought up all the things that they claimed were lies. They were actually facts, and all the lies that Kamala Harris told and the rest of the moderators told that, you know, we disproved those lies. Now, let's talk about the biases from the moderators. I don't understand how anybody can watch this and not think that they weren't biased. So I'm going to show a clip of the bias, and then I'm going to play Dr. Phil has some experts on body language and diagnosing how, you know, the moderators presented themselves as a clear bias moderation panel or moderating panel. So without me running my mouth too much, let's just watch this. And shout out to Outkick because they put together a pretty good collage on this. Roll the clip.
In this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Lies. I debunked that.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here. President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases.
60 cases in front of this. It's a disingenuous perspective because you can't say that the case judges, it was before a judge. If a judge says there's no standing, he never take the case. He actually never made a ruling on the case. So the case could be, listen, you could have a case that will go to trial and a judge will rule on it in your favor. If they never take the case, they've never ruled on a case. So that doesn't determine that you don't really have a case or mean that your case would be dismissed. It just means that they didn't feel like you had enough standing. And that's ambiguous, you know, and with so many courts claiming that there was no standing, either the system is wrong or Trump needed to have more evidence and put together a better compelling argument. But they were disingenuous in saying that it's a lie. All right, let's go to Dr. Phil. I want to play the clip from Dr. Phil real quick, where he had some experts on that alluded to the fact that Kamala, I mean, the moderators were completely chilling for her. All right, don't listen to me.
Was there bias by the moderators today, in y'all's opinion?
Let's just look at body language. Look at the facial expressions of people when they're looking at Trump. There was clearly a bias against Trump in their faces. Let's take my other opinion. This is all my opinion. There's a little bit of a thumb on the scale when you ask one person 2 questions in a row as the primary question, and it's a softball question. That feels like bias to me. I would challenge them to tell me why that's not bias if I were in his situation.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, we're seeing the commentators, they would be speaking at the same time President Trump was. So as he's trying to finish his answer, they would not only answer, they would keep talking as well. And you can tell, and I believe, if I'm correct here, the volume of his microphone might have been a little bit hotter than everybody else's. That's why he sounded so loud. He was speaking loudly, but I think you'll hear this when you listen back and forth. This is my opinion.
Well, let me remind everybody that Scott's a Grammy-nominated music producer, so he knows a little bit about sound.
So I pay attention to that stuff a little bit. So he sounded a little bit louder to me. So that whether that was on purpose to make him sound more aggressive, I don't know, but he was pretty loud in there.
Here were the questions until.
And I want you to listen to Dr. Phil. He's going to articulate the questions that they asked. I mean, just even if you don't like Trump or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like in an impartial way, when he read these questions out, you can clearly see that they're reading into the negative when they're reading questions to Trump and accusing him during the question. And with Kamala Harris, they're kind of softballing things to her. Listen.
Well, I had to walk over here. When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago? Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs? To Trump, why should women trust you on the issue of abortion? To Harris, why did the Biden administration wait until 6 months before the election to take
the Biden administration? Why didn't they say why you didn't wait? The Biden administration.
Action on immigration. To Trump, how would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? To Harris, why have so many of your policy positions changed? Fracking, assault rifles, the border. To Trump, is there anything you regret about what you did on January 6th? Do you acknowledge that you lost the 2020 election? And in each of these questions to Trump, there were fact-check follow-up questions, and I didn't hear that to Harris.
Nor did I, and there's a way you ask a question. I interrogated people for a long time, and when you're doing that, you want to look at, how do I ask the question? Why didn't you say, why have you not done anything about the border, as opposed to Trump, didn't you? There's a more negative tone often towards Trump. At the end of the day, this is about finding out what they think and giving everybody a chance to understand it. And I thought it was a little heavy-handed at times, just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, clearly it was heavy-handed at times. Clearly they didn't make it about the American people. They made it about themselves. And they had every single thing that he said and things that they didn't ask him already ready to fact-check. Like when he said crime is going, like for instance, he said crime is going up in America. It's going down around the country. Oh, sorry, Trump, we fact-checked that, and it says that the FBI said the crime is actually going down. Well, at which Trump was witted enough to have a adequate response, because the FBI statistics can be very deceptive. You can have more crime and less reporting for a crime, and therefore crime will go down. That means that if cops are not responding to certain calls, if people are not calling about crimes because they believe they won't have a response to the calls, then therefore they're not having FBI reporting. And therefore the numbers will show that it's going down. The crime is going up. People just not reporting it. People don't have faith that they're going to actually get somebody to respond in a reasonable amount of time. So they don't call every time their car get the window busted out and there's a burglary. And then there's reclassification of UCI codes. That's the universal codes that you send as a police officer when you clear a call. You send to the FBI for them to put these numbers together. So therefore, a person can change the definition of what a burglary is, and therefore you use a certain UCR code for a certain crime. Like, for instance, Tucson Police Department, we switched these beer runs to a theft. And they even had them as like burglary. And so when you look at it, we had the biggest rate of burglary, and I could have burglary and theft mixed up, whatever UCR code. I haven't been a cop in a long time. But I remember when we went and looked at the chart, we were #1 in the nation for burglaries because we reclassified beer skips as a burglary. And I remember Chicago was second to us. I said, there's no way. It's way more people live in Chicago. It's because we reclassified a certain thing to cover for another thing. And therefore, our burglaries were out of control. It was like our thefts were out of control, but our burglaries were low. When technically, I think that you could charge a person with burglary if they do a beer run. That means they use force to get into the cabinets. They take it by force, and then they leave. That could technically be a burglary. But they would reclassify it. So therefore, yeah, I think it was thefts was out of control, and burglaries were the lowest in the country. And it's like, it's only because we reclassified. And so those things are things that moderators shouldn't get into because they know it's not an unequivocal fact. Then you have them going into saying, oh, we talked to the mayor and there's no credible. But there's residents that are calling the police, and there's police 911 calls, non-emergency line recordings of people saying they're eating our animals. There's video of a girl that people allege is a Haitian that's eating a cat in the middle of an apartment complex. There's a black kid that's at a city council meeting where he's saying they're biting the heads off these ducks in the middle of the park. Like, why would all these people be lying and just to make Donald Trump look good? It's just, it doesn't make sense. But they could fact check these things like we did, but they didn't. Donald Trump with the abortion thing, infanticide, and all these other late-term abortions that they're actually allowing to happen in this country, they decided to make an input. They should have let the other candidate argue with him about that fact. Instead, they go, there's not nowhere in the country where that's allowed. Yes, it is. I showed you evidence in my other video. We can go down a list of the things they tried to fact check Trump on. They say, you don't have a policy position. Yes or no? Do you have a policy ready to get rid of Obamacare? And he said, we have concepts. To be honest, everything that every candidate speaks about and the things that they're going to do to change the country is a concept. They don't really have it figured out. That's why on the website, you will never see a candidate say, I'm going to lower inflation by doing this specifically. Their talking point is that I'm going to bring down inflation, or I'm going to give affordable housing to somebody. I'm going to have a Build Back Better plan. It's like those are concepts. But instead of them allowing Donald Trump to say it and allowing a debater to debate him on something he said that they believe is untrue, the moderator stepped in and said, oh, yes or no, so that means you don't have a plan. Like what? Donald Trump, do you regret what you did on January 6th? It's not proven that Donald Trump did anything. And then when the guy articulates what he believed Donald Trump did, he left out the fact that Donald Trump wrote a tweet that's well known that he made mention that to do it peacefully and do not attack police officers. Left it out. This was the clearest case of bias in moderation that I've ever seen in my life, in moderators that I've ever seen. CNN surprised me. They actually were not biased. Biden just took a dump during the debate. They actually asked both of them really good, compelling questions, and they followed up equally with both of them. But ABC was, I couldn't believe how bad it was. If they were that bad against Kamala Harris, I would say something about it. I'd say Donald Trump won, but they were horrible moderators. Anyway, I said enough. Comment in the comment section if you think that the moderators were terrible. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.